This is Matt Shields, and he built a $400,000 a month agency while working just 4 hours a day. In this video, I'm breaking down exactly how he dialed in his routine to make this kind of money working 4 hours a day.
The most valuable asset a business has is the person running the business. It's the people. The business is just made up of the people.
He has mastered himself and has figured out how to make crazy amounts of money working less than the average person.
If we want to grow the business, we have to grow the people. If we want the business to be more disciplined, more streamlined, the person running the business has to be more disciplined, has to be more streamlined in their day. And your business is just going to be a reflection of yourself. It's going to be a mirror of who you are.
We went over his exact habits that made him successful, the diet that kept him laser focused, and the routine that allowed him to build a massive company while still enjoying life.
I wanted more consistent sleep. I wanted to become more confident. I wanted to get rid of negative habits. I wanted to heal my shoulder, get a really dialed in diet. I wanted to streamline a lot of this. I didn't want to have to manually be doing a ton of different things every day. I wanted it to be streamlined and seamless.
And I'm about to break down the full protocol he followed. So, Matt, what exactly do you do with your company right now?
So I have a few different things. I have a software business, a coaching business, and then I'm a partner in an agency as well.
When Matt first came to me, he had a classic high achiever's dilemma. He knew exactly what levers to pull in his business, the marketing strategies, the sales systems, the team management, but he was stuck in what I call entrepreneur's hard mode, pushing through brain fog, fighting afternoon crashes, and relying on pure willpower to get through each day. His routine was chaotic, his sleep was inconsistent, and he was eating whatever was convenient.
I noticed throughout the day I would feel tired, I'd feel foggy, I would feel like I lacked energy. I wouldn't be maximizing my potential. I wasn't maximizing my output, and I didn't like that. I wanted to be doing more with my days, more with my life. Yeah, I think it's just that feeling of knowing I could be doing more each day, but I wasn't.
For all entrepreneurs, the amount you make isn't determined by the time you put in, but by the quality of work you get out. And work quality is directly tied to your brain's operating system. As a hardworking entrepreneur, Matt always used to prioritize his work over his sleep and recovery, simply because work makes you money, while sleeping is a waste of time, right? Well, that's what he thought before we analyzed how his recovery and stress levels affected his decision-making, mental clarity, and focus. Matt had all the sales, marketing, and leadership tactics to scale to 7 figures and beyond. The thing he lacked was the level of performance to be able to execute at the highest level daily for extremely long periods of time without burning out. What most entrepreneurs don't realize is that as a business owner, you're essentially a mental athlete. Think about it. Physical athletes put their bodies through extreme physical stress, so they have recovery protocols, nutrition plans, and sleep optimization to perform at their peak. Mental athletes, on the other hand, like Matt, are putting their brains through the same levels of stress, high-stakes decisions, constant problem-solving, managing teams, and dealing with pressure. Yet most entrepreneurs expect to operate like athletes while treating their brain recovery like an average everyday person. But just like a professional athlete can't perform at their best without proper recovery, a mental athlete can't make million-dollar decisions, lead effectively, or maintain focus without optimizing their sleep. You see, sleep isn't just rest. It's when your brain literally cleans itself. During deep sleep, your brain activates something called the glymphatic system, which flushes out toxic proteins that accumulate throughout the day. Without this cleanup process, decision-making becomes clouded, your reaction time slows, and creativity plummets. And you even go through a phase called REM sleep, which is another part of sleep Matt wasn't getting enough of, which is literally like rocket fuel for your focus and mental performance the next day. It's the part of sleep where you store your memories, reset your emotions, but also produce the highest amounts of testosterone across the entire day. In one study, researchers tracked phone usage and performance levels in both sales professionals and athletes. Over the course of several weeks, they analyzed how sleep patterns translated into real-world productivity. They found that for the people who consistently slept just 1 hour less per night for a week, their performance dropped by about 9 to 10%. For salespeople, that meant fewer calls, fewer deals closed, and lower revenue. For athletes, it meant slower reaction times and reduced training output. Also, Matthew Walker in his research has discovered that if you sleep less than 6 hours a night, you perform your tasks like you're drunk. So the first thing we did with Matt is that instead of going to bed and waking up whenever he felt like it, based on his work demands and distractions, we set a non-negotiable sleep schedule that was tailored to his personal sleeping patterns that he followed consistently, which allowed him to recover optimally and wake up feeling sharp and energized every day, ready to make game-changing decisions, lead his team, and grow his business to the numbers he wanted. But another huge problem was diet. He was eating eating whatever was available out of convenience, either because he didn't care or because he was busy. But this ended up costing him hours of meaningful work, simply because of the effects this food had on his digestion and gut health. Most people think that diet is just about your biceps and abs, but your gut is literally your second brain, and scientists call it the enteric nervous system, because it contains over 500 million neurons that produce chemicals that directly change your focus, energy, and mood. Think of it like this. If a Formula 1 driver puts regular gas in a race car, the engine would sputter and lose power. That's exactly what happens when a mental athlete fuels their brain with processed foods, sugar crashes, and inflammatory ingredients. Professional athletes have nutritionists because they know that peak physical performance requires peak nutrition. But mental athletes like Matt need the same approach. You see, your brain burns 20% of your daily calories despite being only about 2% of your total body weight. It's the most energy demanding organ you have. Look at someone like Naval Ravikant, who's spoken extensively about how fixing his gut health transformed his mental clarity and decision-making ability. Or take Jordan Peterson, Tim Ferriss, or Jack Dorsey, all of which are obsessed with optimizing their diets specifically for their focus, clarity, and mental performance. To solve this problem, we first of all installed a private chef that took care of all the cooking, grocery shopping, and meal prepping for Matt, so that no matter how busy he was, he had the exact foods he needed to eat ready every time of the day without even touching the kitchen. We also sent him a comprehensive gut test to customize his diet based on what foods his body specifically needed to perform at peak capacity. Further than that, we implemented a custom supplement stack to optimize his hormone levels, gut health, and brain function, because even with perfect food, most high performers have specific deficiencies that can only be addressed by targeted supplementation. One of the key supplements we implemented, for example, was L-glutamine to heal his gut. Now, most people hear that and think, oh yeah, the gym bro supplement for muscle recovery. But what they don't realize is that L-glutamine is actually the primary fuel for your gut lining cells, specifically your enterocytes, which are responsible for maintaining the barrier between your gut and the rest of your body. Now, when that barrier breaks down because of processed food, stress, and other factors, you get what's called leaky gut, which means toxins and undigested food particles leak into your bloodstream and trigger inflammation all over your body, including your brain. So by using L-glutamine, we weren't just helping Matt digest better, we were repairing the literal wall that protects his focus, his energy, and his mental clarity. Another supplement we implemented is one that most people have never even heard. But if your brain is constantly foggy, your mood is unstable, or you even crash in the afternoons, this might be the most underrated supplement on the planet. I'm talking about sodium butyrate. You see, your gut bacteria actually produce butyrate naturally when you eat fiber. It's one of the key short-chain fatty acids that fuels your gut lining. But when your gut microbiome is damaged, like Matt's was, you don't make enough of it. And that's a huge problem, because sodium butyrate doesn't just feed your gut, it directly talks to your brain. It reduces neuroinflammation, helps regulate dopamine levels, and even increases something called BDNF, which is like rocket fuel for your neurons. This allowed him to complete all of his work because he was hyper-focused when working instead of crashing after every meal he ate like he did before. The other thing Matt used to struggle with was bad habits like scrolling or snacking, for example, which not only made him feel like he wasn't sticking to his goal, but also hijacked his dopamine system, resulted in him being far more distracted and unproductive. Whenever he wanted to work on one important project like preparing a video or mapping out an SOP for his team, he would end up on things like WhatsApp, email, Slack, or social media. This sometimes might have made him feel productive because he was getting many things done at once, but in reality, a task that should have taken him 1 hour to complete now took him 3 hours. And the worst part is that he didn't have enough focus to allocate to what moved the needle the most. You see, your entire work environment is engineered to destroy your focus. Every notification, every social media platform, every quick snack is designed by billion-dollar companies to hijack your dopamine system to make you want to do more and more of it like an addict. When you get a hit from scrolling Instagram or checking your phone, your brain releases dopamine. But the problem is that your dopamine system works like a self-regulating scale. On one side of the scale, there is pleasure, and on the other side of the scale, there is pain. When you chase pleasure, like scrolling Instagram, checking your email inbox, or even your crypto wallet, what happens is that after you've experienced that pleasure, the scale automatically tips over to the side of pain. This is your body's homeostatic system wanting to keep everything in balance. It works in the exact same way as when you go outside in the cold. Your body's homeostatic system kicks in and you start to shiver in order to generate temperature in order to get warm. But when you get hot, your body dumps temperature from your core in order to cool you down. In the exact same way, when you snack, scroll, or chase distractions, you feel good in the moment, but unmotivated and lazy after. However, when you flip flip the script and chase hardship and challenges first, your brain automatically rewards you after, making the hard, boring work feel rewarding. So the first thing we did to fix this is to do a dopamine reset. This meant that he would not check his phone in the first 90 minutes after waking. He would go to the gym and exercise without music or his phone. And when he worked, he would only focus on the main priority instead of opening random unrelated tabs. We also implemented something called no-go moments to train the parts of his brain responsible for willpower. For example, because he was used to snacking before, which affected his health and performance, this time, every instance he had the idea or urge to snack, he would deliberately refrain from doing so, which engages the no-go circuits in the brain and strengthens the so-called willpower muscle, the basal ganglia. This might sound dumb in the beginning, but it reflects in all the areas of your life when you implement it. You're less distracted and better able to focus on the things that move the needle forward in your life and business. But another system we implemented in Matt's life to help him be locked in and focused on the things that he needed to do each day to perform at his highest level was keeping him accountable. We had access to his wearable trackers that showed us the time he went to bed, the time he woke up, and the quality of his sleep, which simply showed us if he followed or didn't follow the rules we had set to optimize his performance. Matt already knew what to do at this point, but this system allowed us to make sure he was actually taking the daily actions necessary to succeed and perform at top 1% levels. After 3 months of working together, I sat down with him and asked him how all of this affected him. What were your initial thoughts or expectations right after joining, like the first couple of days?
Yeah. I wasn't exactly sure what to expect. I thought we would do a lot of like diving into my situation, my circumstance, which we did. You gave me a lot of tests. You gave me a pretty good onboarding, like an in-depth onboarding, and then you just started checking in every single day. Like the accountability that I was hoping for, that I needed, you over-delivered on that. So that was huge.
Can you summarize in like 1 minute around what we help you do by working together?
Yeah. So I think I would say, generally speaking, you help people become more productive, and you do that in a number of different ways. You help them improve their diet, for example, by having them take certain gut tests. So you help them become more productive through a number of different ways. Checking your habits, checking your schedules. Are you eating at the right time? Are you sleeping at the right time? Are you sleeping in the right way? Do you have the right pre-sleep routines? Like last night, my friends and I were gathered around the whiteboard. Tony Lee, Josh Rivera, and myself were gathered around the whiteboard in our dining room, and we're looking at all of our like to-do lists, and because we have a house accountability thing, and we have the overhead light on, and I go to turn down the overhead light because I know we're getting ready to go to bed, and I literally said to them, I was like, nah, Manu would be pissed if he saw that I'm looking at this overhead light at like 9:30 p.m. That's terrible. So it's little things like that I've taken with me till this day, right? So that's what I would say. You help people become more productive through analyzing each and every single part of their day and themselves that contributes to their productivity, whether it be diet, sleep, habits, self-talk, whatever it is. The framework for making decisions that I love is the Jeff Bezos framework, the one-way door and the two-way door. A one-way door is something that you can only walk through once. You walk through that door, you can't go back. The two-way door, you can walk through that door but then go back again. When Bezos was pressured into whether or not he should leave his job to start Amazon in 1994, he went and told his boss. His boss took him on a walk around Central Park, New York, and he told his boss the idea, and his boss said, Jeff, that's a really good idea, but it'd be an even better idea for somebody who didn't already have a good job. And basically saying, you should not go do this. And so Jeff had to ask himself, what would I regret more? Would I regret more staying at this job and never trying and wondering what could have happened? Or would I regret more doing this thing and it doesn't work out and then going back to my job? I like to think about that framework when I'm offering something to somebody. Like I'll say that to them just like I am now. But also I like to think about it for myself when I'm being presented with something. What's the worst case? Like, am I going to regret not doing this or doing this more? I think when it comes to with the accountability and the intention and the focus that you give your clients, Manu, I think it makes it a very high perceived likelihood of success, or very high actualized likelihood of success when it comes to whether or not you're going to regret more not doing the thing or just doing the thing and working with Manu. I think it's much more likely you're going to regret not doing it.
Now, if you want us to help you make more money, be healthier, and have more focus by building out a custom protocol based on your specific goals and biology, then click the link below to see how we can help you perform better and be in the top 1% levels of performance in all the areas of your life.